Victoria has reported one new locally acquired case of COVID-19 as restrictions ease across the state. The Health Department says the latest infection is a primary close contact of an existing case. One new case was reported among a returning traveller in hotel quarantine. More than 35,000 tests were conducted. Restrictions have eased for Melbournians with a 25-kilometre travel bubble scrapped. Gyms and theatres allowed to reopen and masks no longer required outdoors. Say on how you'd characterise it as well, Mark. Have you had a vaccine yet?
Not yet, but that's something I'll be looking at.
Okay, you don't want to get vaccinated?
No, I never said that.
Okay.
It's the first day out of lockdown, and we're going to get out of Melbourne as we've been unable to travel for quite a while. As it has turned out, the first challenge for the trip is going to be to get the van out of storage. There's been a good deal of rain this winter, and when I've arrived at the storage bay, I've found that it's quite difficult to access due to all the mud, and I've even got bogged just trying to back the cruiser up to the van at the right angle. Now that I've got it hooked up, towing it out is proving to be not an easy task, even though I'm going down a slight slope. Fortunately, I have my Max Tracks to save the day, although it is ironic that after having carried them around the country for many thousands of kilometres, the first time using them is only 5k from home. Character building stuff, you might say. On the second bite of the Max Tracks, we have progress, although the van is still sticking in the mud, making it difficult even with the cruiser on the harder surface. And I've left a lovely mess behind in the storage bay.
This is, well, Formula One, chess with engines. A lot of non-Formula One fan friends are very keen. Cheers, Mark. Anthea in South Africa.
Now it's time to get home to get the van washed and packed ready for the trip. After a fairly eventful day, we finally headed off for our first post-COVID trip. And it's an ideal time. We're heading out into the traffic at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, leaving to the southeast of Melbourne, so we can expect a whole lot of traffic everywhere we go.
You're with Raf Epstein on ABC Radio Melbourne.
I want to know if you're going somewhere over the weekend. The shackles have been unleashed. The chain has fallen from your wrist and your ankle. The chain and ball are no longer connected to your limbs. However, I'm not sure if you are still going to head out of Melbourne this weekend. But I want to know if you're just going to head out of Melbourne over the weekend. Most of you are in Melbourne.
Day 2 of the trip. 10:30, just leaving Bairnsdale because we didn't make it all the way to Orbost last night because of our late start and everything. And we always take the road via Bruthen to get to Orbost, so not to Lakes Entrance like it says there. I had a pleasant night in the Bairnsdale NRMA caravan park. Cooked the pizza on our pizza stone for the first time. It was the best pizza we've had that we've cooked ourselves, accompanied by a bottle of Tempranillo from Montalto. All very good. Shower went through just as we were packing up this morning, so we're all a bit damp. But yes, there was forecast for rain for much of the weekend in any case. And we're on the road and we've got not very far to go today. Probably be there before lunchtime.
You know, it's stupid when they say it's a limit to how many people can go and watch country football. And look at it, most people sit in their cars anyway.
Footy and the netball.
Hey?
Footy and the netball.
Yeah.
Office, blah, blah, blah.
Beverages.
We weren't able to access the van during lockdown, so the batteries have been sitting idle for many months. We're staying in Orbost for a couple of nights on a powered site, so we can fully charge the batteries before we go to Cape Conran, where we will be free camping. While we're here, we'll also stock up on fresh food and browse through the local hardware store, which has an extensive range and is good entertainment in itself.
Banksia Bluff.
Yeah.
We've driven down to Cape Conran without the van to select a site in the camping ground.
Stop, have you booked?
The first thing we've noticed is how the area was affected by the 2019-20 bushfires. The campground was badly burnt and even the ranger's hut was destroyed.
There's a loo.
Toilet and a shower. Oh, we've still got the little thing with the tables and that there.
A lot of work has been done by Parks Victoria to restore the campground and its amenities.
Well, D's open.
We can barely recognise our usual camp spots as the vegetation has changed so much.
Which way's north? That way.
Because I don't remember seeing tables and chairs in any of the other loops ever, you know. Nice sunshine.
Yeah. So, day 3 of our post-COVID adventure. And we're heading on the road that runs beside the Snowy River. We're heading towards Marlow, which is where the mouth of the Snowy River is, and then we're heading around the corner to Cape Conran, Banksia Bluff campground to be precise. We had a bit of a look around there yesterday and identified a spot which would suit us nicely, and we're heading off there this morning. Hopefully nobody has snaffled it overnight. Picturesque drive here along beside the Snowy, where pretty much the road is only a few feet above the level of the river, and it is prone to flooding along here, but it was all good yesterday when we came along. Some very wet pasture lands along on the left though. The rain seems to have cleared a bit overnight. We're looking forward to a couple of fine, if cloudy days before the next band of rain hits us later in next week.
Oh, the ranger's there.
Uh-oh.
What?
I see a car.
Oh.
They're exactly in our spot.
Oh, well, we might just have to... Oh, wait a minute, they're packing. Are they packing up?
Oh no, we'll see.
Fortunately, the couple were only staying for one night before continuing on their travels. Also fortunately, they didn't find the bag of firewood we left there when we decided on this spot yesterday. This is us set up. After the last few days of rain that we've had while we've been getting here, it's very pleasant to have a bit of sunshine for the afternoon. We've picked this spot so we get as much sun as possible because the sun's very low in the sky at the moment. I think we'll be very comfortable here. We're just heading off for a little walk down to the beach. This is day 2 of our Cape Conran trip, I suppose. Well, I think we're really up to day 4. Just go down the million steps, as Gail calls it. In actual fact, there's only 16. Beautiful here, you can hear the waves crashing all night. And the tide is quite high. So it's another beautiful afternoon here, and we have a couple of visitors to the camp next door. Oh, this guy has just been having a go at our fruitcake.
Taking up a whole piece.
A whole piece. And here's the wombats. Very healthy looking. Don't seem too fussed about me at all. This is the first time we've spotted any roos on the trip, Usually they're everywhere. It's really good to see the population coming back again. So today's the shortest day of the year, and the sun has sunk. We've been down to Marlow to check out a couple of other caravan sites because we might be moving tomorrow. Just see how our batteries go tonight.
It's actually quite cold, and it's going to get to what we think about 3 or 4 degrees overnight. I don't think it'll be that far off that now. It's quite cool. We'll just have a nice fireside drink while we're contemplating putting dinner on.
Contemplating, yes. As is normal when we stay here at Cape Conran, we're taking a morning walk on the beach. The weather is remaining quite cloudy, which is not an ideal situation for our solar battery charging system, particularly with so few daylight hours at this time of year. Between the beach and the campsites, there is a narrow gully which was heavily forested before the fires. It was one of my favourite places to see wildlife, with plenty of birds and wallabies, as well as other varieties of creatures if you are quiet and patient enough. We had a low voltage battery cut out this morning while we were cooking, so we're heading to the Ocean View Caravan Park in Marlow, where we can plug into power for a few days and work out whether we have any issues with the battery system.
Straight left, yeah?
Yeah, and then down here in this path.
We're at Point Ricardo. It's quite pleasant here. A bit of weather off in the distance there at the moment. Even though we're camping in Marlow at the moment, it's only 15 minutes down the road from Cape Conran, and it's easy to continue our exploration of the area by car. This is Salmon Rocks, which is an area on West Cape with lovely rock formations, good fishing and a boat ramp as well. Quite often whales have been sighted just offshore from here, but we haven't been able to spot any today. Closer to Marlow, this is the mouth of the Snowy River, which winds its way down from the slopes of Mount Kosciuszko, hundreds of kilometres away. The Snowy River Coastal Walk runs right along the estuary out of Marlow, giving excellent views of the estuary, as well as enabling access to secluded beaches on the ocean. Further around West Cape from Salmon Rocks is Cowrie Bay, which is usually also accessible by a bushwalk from the campground, although we are told that it is closed due to damage from the fires at the moment. We find the bay a great place to chill out and enjoy the ocean crashing on the rocks. Off the East Cape Road, we find our way to Sailor's Grave, which has a small picnic area not far from the southern end of the Banksia Bluff campground. We're at the Orbost Information Centre and Museum, and here's a couple of guys who have been welded up out of some old tractor chains. And out the front, we've got a guy working on his chainsaw. So the Information Centre itself is a delightful little cottage.
Turn right on the 4.5 mile track and travel 2.3 k where you will then reach Dora's track.
breakneck track. Yeah, I think we'll leave that one alone. Gradually descends. Bit euphemistic. Oh, it's all signs in here.
This is Youngs Creek Picnic Ground, which we have located using a guide we obtained from the Orbost Information Centre. The picnic ground is located on the site of an old sawmill operated in the 1920s. There are a couple of beautiful walks here with the sounds of bird songs making a welcome accompaniment to the views of the tall timbers. Much of the area has been missed by the fires, but there are some pockets which have suffered damage.
Speed cameras around here, aren't there? See all the cameras in the back window of that one?
Yeah, I did.
Funny place to park a car.
Then I saw Yarramon Road.
We're heading to an area called Yalmy, which is in the Snowy River National Park. It seems that the further we travel, the narrower the road becomes.
Well, the bush tracker in the street, huh?
No. Probably bring the tea back in here, but
We've arrived at Raymond Creek, which is a tributary of the Snowy River, and we're taking a walk to the waterfalls nearby. The walk has been rated easy, but I think they may be talking about the trip to the top of the falls, as there are plenty of steps to take to get to the bottom. This is the Raymond Creek Falls in the Snowy River National Park, and they're flowing quite nicely today. And now the walk back up. I think I'm about to have some breathing difficulty. Oh, there he is. Now that we have run the van on power for a couple of days and not identified any battery issues with our tests and talking to Bush Tracker, we've returned to Cape Conran campground and moved back into our old spot. Fine weather is forecast for the next few days, so we should get adequate solar power. It was really good to be back beside the beach again. There is something special about this area in the afternoon, when the sea spray is filtering the afternoon light, especially where there is still some tree canopy overhead. The campground is nearly a kilometre long, and there are several walking tracks leading from the camp loops to the beach. Each of them lead through a slightly different habitat, with different wildlife species evident. At the end of each track, we return to camp with a pleasant walk down the beach. Today the dashcam developed a terminal malfunction. We have taken the East Yeerung track to visit the Yeerung Gorge Walk. We visited the gorge many years back, and I am curious to see how much it has changed and particularly how it is recovering from the fires. The track winds pleasantly through the forest until a steep drop into the gorge, where I inadvertently used my bum to traverse the terrain. At the bottom of the gorge are some pools fed by the east branch of the Yeerung River. It is very peaceful down here, and I'm sure it would be a great habitat for platypus, but I'm not able to spot any, no matter how hard I look. So while it hasn't changed much down in the gorge, up top along the ridges it certainly has. The bushfire has cleared out a lot of the vegetation which was here before. All of the bracken ferns are quite young. A few trees have suffered very badly. A lot of blackened trunks. Very peaceful just the same. Back at the little bridge, we have stopped to look over the Yerung River just around the corner from the estuary. It is a beautiful spot enhanced by the late afternoon light. For the first time on one of our trips to the area, we are visiting the mouth of the Yerung River and its estuary. We are surprised to find a number of lookouts and a picnic area, as well as an area for launching kayaks. The mouth of the river is tidal, so we take advantage of the low tide to cross over, because we can. We're delighted with the views of the beaches stretching off into the distance through the mist in both directions. This has to be the find of the trip. This morning we're heading back to the beach for our walk before we head for home. As always, the beach provides interesting sights and sounds. We've really enjoyed this camp, and I have noted it for our next trip, as I'm sure we'll be back again. We stop in Sale on the way home and return the van to a new storage bay with a hard base. Thank goodness for that.